conflict and insurrection. Twisting the words of Alexander Berkman, who said revolution is the boiling point of evolution, it can be said that insurrection is the boiling point of revolution. It is a period more likely to be brought about by the state, its agents acting on behalf of all manner of oppressive ideologies, trying once and for all to reassert the old order which the dual power has wrested from its grasp. Putting the violent aspects of the insurrectionary ordeal into perspective, Berkman also wrote, "The fighting phase of revolution is the smallest and least significant part." Which is to say, even where the object is destruction, most of what is to be destroyed is ideological, it is our understandings, our intentions, and so forth. Eliminating prisons and garrisons, while necessary targets of insurrectionary acts, are not what insurrection is about. Instead, the primary destruction will be that of outlived ideas in oppressive ways. In order for any proposal for a revolutionary strategy to be convincing, it must contain a component detailing how revolutionary movements will handle conflict and, if they are sustainable, insurrection. I intend to deal with these issues much later in far more detail. For now, so that the strategy I've just described will be more believable, I am offering a cursory discussion of how a holistic dual power movement can hope to deal with conflict and insurrection. The establishment of dual power is offensive in a very subversive sense. It seeks to encroach slowly yet fully the domain of those in authority, the status quo. And thus assaults on dual power institutions can be seen as defensive maneuvers on the part of the state and its cohorts. Typically in any struggle, if defenders are well established, they have a decided advantage over their attackers. So obviously the key is to become well established. Part of the preparation for the insurrectionary moment is weakening the enemy well in advance. This means agitating and organizing among the ranks of the agents of the old order. It means demoralizing the police and the military, encouraging them to make changes in their institutions as we are in various others. Indeed, it means encouraging them to become us. More often than not, because of the rigidity of hierarchy in such institutions, transformation will mean abandonment more than conversion. But make no mistake about it, when the violence heats up because the once comfortable authorities recognize the threat to their status, and to the very social framework which gives rise to that status, we will not be able to beat an army that is at full strength, or police forces which are functioning smoothly. Resistance, refusal, sabotage, desertion, these will all need to be commonplace within the armed forces, or we will have no hope of success in the insurrection. Another major element of insurrectionary victory will be stealth. That is, since the insurrection will begin around the time elites discover they are about to lose the rug from beneath their feet, we must dispose of as much of that rug as possible, and replace it with our new foundation, the dual power, before they recognize a significant threat. Yes, I am saying we must actually postpone the insurrection until we are most prepared to fight, and most prepared to fill those voids left behind by our toppling of society's oppressive apparatuses. This doesn't mean pretending our new institutions are not in competition with their oppressive counterparts. No, we can make no secret of our intentions lest we forget them ourselves. Instead, we need to be careful to attack only those targets which are ready to fall, which we can replace without petitioning for permission or relying on state and capitalist handouts. Reappropriation, of both wealth and political power, must be done carefully, without exposing our weaknesses. A simple example, rather than having 15% of community fully dependent upon politicized, cooperative grocery providers for all its food and such needs. It is better to have a vast majority rely on dual power institutions for a smaller fraction of its needs. because then we could start taking more drastic steps to shut down commercial grocers, or force them to yield ownership and management to workers and the community. We will have bided our strength well, and staged a mini-insurrection in the local grocery industry. If we cause too much of a fuss by attacking an institution while we are still weak, we will be crushed. Another key to insurrectionary success is the ability to use the attacker's strength against itself. This happens on the small scale of actual physical confrontation, and also on the larger range of the ideological battlefield. When a better armed attacker advances on a weak opponent, the latter must somehow make use of the former's power, to turn the tide of advantage. On the ground, in street confrontations, we will use Aikido and other martial arts which rely on this concept. We will also sabotage the machinery on which the agents of order depend. When their computers and their helicopters do not function, they lose their edge over us, and in fact they begin to decay from within. When those not yet aroused to rise up see others resist non-violently as the latter are brutally attacked by their fabled protectors, victory for us is snatched from the jaws of defeat. I don't know how many times I have been asked that dreadful question, can we win? It's a useless thing to ponder. Most people, activists and authorities alike, think they know the answer. Most think no, a few optimists say yes. I insist the question is without value. As Noam Chomsky always implores, by doing nothing, we only guarantee that we will lose. The real question, then, is by what methods do we stand the best chance of winning? That's really what we should be looking for, what we should be trying to accomplish, and the answer is in strategic and tactical outlook. If we are struggling against a weakened, demoralized enemy, if our movement size, strength and discipline are at peak levels, if our goals are clear, if we are unified in our resistance efforts, if we are massive and foreboding, then I say we stand a chance. So we ask how to achieve these conditions as our preparation for the main event. We will not win without violence, but neither will we win with violence. We will be attacked, brutally and viciously, and we will have no choice but to withstand, recover and fight back. But fighting cannot be our primary tactic in achieving any of the strategic goals discussed in this chapter. Without preparation, the fight is lost before it begins. If you need to know you're going to win before you get involved, we won't be seeing you around anyway. However, it does make sense to know how you're going to try to win. Insurrection is the greatest wild card. More can be said of it when we have a better idea of what it will look like. It is not coming tomorrow, but perhaps in a decade or a generation. Let us only hope we will have warning, and some reasonably better prediction of how it can be dealt with. Later on in this book we will discuss at some length the more applied elements of resistance and conflict, including how to organize for mostly non-violent offensive and defensive maneuvers without resorting to traditional military methods of organization or combat. There are several problems with these notions and the projects they breed. First of all, they repeat the obvious flaws of classical revolutionary theory. Marxists refuse to learn the primary lesson of historical revolutionary failures, instead blaming the downfall of Leninist communism and other formalized brands on outside intervention and counter-revolution. The fact is that a population must be not only intellectually but organizationally prepared for revolution. Not only must a capacity for economic stability be in existence, not a tall order for a species which once hunted and gathered to provide for its survival needs, but also necessary is political and economic organization capable of managing the complexities of mass-scale social relations, including the allocation of resources and products equitably among entire populations.